Also, I think I had a very similar experience that nobody else outside of our family seemed to know what the camps were. You know, teachers, you know, history books, and it was just very odd. You know, it was a very strange, alienating experience. I went to Stanford University, and when I first got information from them, they asked me if I wanted to live in an Asian American dorm, and I wanted to, and my parents counseled me not to. They told me that I shouldn't hang around with other Asians, that would get me in trouble. And I didn't, you know, a lot of these instructions were a little bit mysterious. You know, I didn't totally understand, you know what I mean? Like, I just felt like my parents were very controlling, but I acquiesced and I didn't. And I was, because of my experience being so isolated, I also was one of those Asians that felt very uncomfortable around other Asians. I mean, it was so bizarre, you know, to see somebody else who was Asian that you didn't feel normal, you know. And I think that for people who grew up so isolated, you're always kind of wondering, you know, am I a normal Asian person? You know what I mean? You don't know if you have anything in common with these other people, and you kind of suspect maybe you don't, you know, and stuff. And so for 2.5 or 3 years, I thought about, but never actually joined the Asian American Student Association at Stanford. But I think at the same time, I realized that I had to deal with this issue. And I take some of the credit myself in that, you know, realizing that I had to deal with this, but I also feel very lucky that I had something that I could go investigate, you know, that there were organized Asian students at Stanford. And so I still remember the first Asian American Student Association meeting I went to, and I remember being so tense, you know. I mean, it's funny, I think back now, but I knew that I had to deal with it. And I met some people there that are still friends of mine, and, you know, who basically my friendship with them and being part of the Asian American Student Association at Stanford really helped me personally a lot in terms of my whole understanding and comfort at who I was. Through the ASA at Stanford, I became educated about things such as the Bakke decision. I was involved in the anti-Bakke decision coalition, I guess, and also with the divestment from South Africa movement at Stanford. Those also were very interesting because those were both movements where students of color, you know, I think we called ourselves third world students then, but, you know, were really struggling to organize, create coalitions between, you know, the different nationalities and ethnicities, and really play a role in the student movement. I think, you know, there were a lot of conflicts with white student leaders who felt like, you know, students of color should kind of be there to make it, you know, multinational, but weren't that interested in you know, input and leadership from students of color. But so I was there during a lot of those struggles. When I left Stanford, also I was an engineering student. I majored in EE, which again put me in a very alienating situation with the you know, all the white men who were engineers. But that's another whole story.